Greetings YouTube. So it has been far too long since I've posted a video. Various things going on in life. No real drama to speak of, just very busy. Kids, work, family, those types of things. So I certainly have been keeping track of the people that I'm subscribed to. So that's been certainly entertaining, and you know, it's as usual a really good influence on the way that I approach various realities, I guess. So I was thinking the other day, as you can see in front of you, this was, or I guess is, a system. It's a giant LL Bean duffel bag that really I was going through and kind of evaluating some of the items within this bag, some of the items in this bag that would be relevant to, you know, kind of a whole bailout situation, right? And I started thinking that where was the logic in this, okay? Now stay with me, because I had been really thinking about this a long time before posting this, because there's really so many angles I guess I could take, and I came to the conclusion that, you know, YouTube is a great avenue for learning. I mean, that's my you know, my greatest takeaway from what I see on YouTube is the teaching aspect. Yeah, you got the trolls, right? You have people that love to spread hate, but that is not relevant to me. I don't really care about it. Sure, you have to deal with it, but you know, from my perspective, I'm a nobody, right? I get tens of views. So people like Nut and Fancy, I mean, those guys are, I'm sure, spending hours just deflecting a lot of the crap that they have to deal with, because, you know, they have a huge audience. So, I mean, my audience is nothing. But nonetheless, if I can create a dialogue to get people to, you know, to either agree or disagree, then, you know, that's great, and my mission's accomplished. So back to this, right? So I'm looking at this situation here of having a large bag for a bailout situation, right, with my family. And I started thinking that, well, here's another bag, but that's a 511 Rush, I think, Rush 24 pack, which I love, by the way, but it's very heavy. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So back to the whole bailout situation. So, you know, I started thinking, so the poop hits the fan, right? I'm going to rush, grab this bag, jump in my car. Where am I going to go? You know? Again, I appreciate a lot of the different... I don't get so much into the, what is it, Ultimate Preppers or whatever that show is. That kind of highlights people that, that while I agree with many of the philosophies, I think they're just, many of them are ultra paranoid, and it's kind of laughable. But, you know, there's some value to be found in that, especially when you compare that particular show to a ton of the crap that's on TV anyway. So there's some value in that, but even with that, you know, I think it's at such the level of extreme that it doesn't really, you know, I don't put a ton of, you know, a ton of faith in that whole show and many of the people that are showcased there. But anyway, back to the whole bailout concept, right? So where am I going to go? I'm in southeastern Michigan. I'm in a suburb. Sure, there are wooded areas near me. I mean, within walking distance, maybe a couple of acres, but the poop really hits the fan. Guess what? I'm sure the people that are not fighting amongst their neighbors are also going to be running to that area. And what am I going to do? Have a plot staked out, and I'm going to set up a victory garden, and I'm going to sustain my family for months? Come on. That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. I don't live in Arizona, right? So in a desert area that I have an underground bunker that's, you know, several hundred feet underground with an independent water supply, an independent air supply. I don't have that. I don't live in Oregon, where I have rough terrain, or even northern Michigan, right? Northern Michigan, there's a ton of vegetation, and I don't live there. So what is going to happen in my situation, right? And that's where I think being prepared in the sense of having the knowledge to equip your family if something were to go down. I mean, knowing where various weapons are in the house, knowing where a meeting spot is, knowing where you can, like a neighborhood watch type of situation. That stuff I definitely believe in. I mean, you can't, sitting back and acting like, hey, I can sit here and sustain myself. I got several thousand rounds of ammo and we're going to be good. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? So fortifying your house, sure, I agree, right? Security, making sure everyone has a plan, making sure that if the electricity's cut, what are you going to do? Those are things that I definitely agree that should happen. And in my own family, I mean, we've discussed that. My kids are young, but, my wife knows the plan, right? So it's just really interesting where, again, I'm looking at this and I'm probably going to end up just dismantling this particular bag, right? Because, I mean, when my kids get into some travel sports or something, I'll use the bag for that. But, I'm going to keep all these supplies in here, and then what am I going to do? Throw it over my shoulder and jump in the car? I got a tank of gas. I don't have several thousand gallons of extra gas just laying around, so when I need to take off and bail out, it's not going to happen. I think it's so interesting. People, they want all the modern conveniences, right? But when various things, they don't seem to kind of fit, right? So what I mean by that is, we love electricity, right? I'm using this camera that is sure, it's battery powered, but it needs a charge. And guess what? I get that from the power company because I'm in a first world country. So those are the things that we accept. And don't get me wrong, this has nothing to do with, I realize there's there's a movement in this country to eliminate Second Amendment rights and assault weapons bans and don't get me wrong, I feel everybody, that's a fundamental right in this country to own a weapon and, to be responsible, and I'm all for that. Absolutely, no question there. But people have this romantic idea that you're going to bail out and you're going to run and be able to sustain and you know what? Excuse me, it'll happen temporarily. And I'm sure I could be fine for, 2 months, 3 months. And even if I estimate that I have a food supply for, half a year or things of that nature, there's still other things I'm going to need that are going to kind of, make that whole equation very, very different than what's in my mind. Sure, you could say, people could come at me and say, well, what about, you're just not planning right. Make sure you have your water, all set. I mean, I get that, right? But, I don't live in a 3,000 square foot house either. So I'm not going to have gallons of water tanks in my backyard and all this. I mean, it's crazy. So this is kind of a rant. Sorry, I probably should have sat in front of the camera. At least that may have been more interesting than looking at this bag. But hopefully the words, I guess, that I'm saying, kind of make sense here. I mean, I certainly have done my first video on the whole, when I really got interested in prepping and the whole bailout bag concept, and it really was more of just a trunk bag for my vehicle. I've learned a ton more since then. I mean, I've really studied it. I've really reverse engineered it, just to get a sense of the true reality, not the Hollywood version of what are you going to do when you bail out and, the zombie apocalypse and all this crap. It's like, come on. All right, equip yourself with logic, equip yourself with planning, run through drills. I get all that. But people just really, it's funny, you go through YouTube and you just see a lot of the stuff. And I think it's more of just a romantic obsession with gadgets and the newest thing. Oh, look at this new Spyderco knife and Benchmade and blah, blah, blah. Okay, guys, I get it. Guys like Nut and Fancy and ex-military people, they have a different type of I guess, I don't know, way of life than many of us. I have not been in the military. I know many people who have. I have definitely accepted a lot of things that I've learned from people who've gone that route in life. But, for the rest of us, I guess, it's just being logical and being, fortify your home, have a plan. And that's where I'll leave you. Does it make sense? Is it a rant? Sorry if it sounds that way. I'm not complaining. I'm just more so making a general observation of kind of the whole YouTube slash bailout mentality slash really just obsessed with modern technology, and things that are related to that. So, if you have any thoughts on it, certainly I'd appreciate it. Um, Again, having two young kids myself and a family, I think about these things. Don't get me wrong. I would certainly give my own life to protect my family without even thinking about it, right? I mean, that's kind of just the reality of my situation, and that's the way that I choose to live my life. But this whole thing, like, we're gonna jump into the car and we're just gonna speed and we're gonna be safe and we're gonna set up a victory garden and everyone's going to be self-sustained for so long. Sorry, guys. In my situation, it's not going to happen. Maybe you live a different reality, and that's cool. But, I've chosen to live in the suburbs. I'm not in the middle of nowhere. And that's cool. Don't get me. The homesteading stuff is really amazing. I love watching Wrangler Star's channel. And the fact that, I learn a lot from that guy. I think it's great. I wish he would post more videos, by the way. Cody, come on, man. Post some more. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, I don't live in the mountains. You know what I'm saying? I can't set up a water pump and all this stuff. I mean, yes, learning the skills to do that is cool and it's great, but I'm not in that situation. I choose not to be. It would be great, maybe one time that will be my reality, but right now it isn't. And there are millions of people that are in my situation as well. So, all right, guys, that's enough talking. If anyone has any thoughts on it, I would appreciate it. If you still feel that the whole bailing out is makes sense to some degree, I mean, let's talk about it. So that's all. Thanks.